Welcome to Scorpio Soul Time. I'm Ronique, and I appreciate you joining me here on my YouTube channel. Every lunation cycle, which occurs about every 2 to 2.5 weeks, we look at the energies that are above going on in the heavens or in the universe between the planets and how they interact with each other and how they affect us here on Earth. So I appreciate you joining me here. If you have not come to my channel before, we usually go through the astrology and what aspects are happening, and then I pull some tarot cards to tap into those energies to see what themes are affecting us and how we can better use these energies to plan our lives, to interact with others, and to take care of ourselves. So thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't subscribed, I would love if you would hit the subscription bell so you'll know when I come out with new videos, as well as share with your friends, family, colleagues. It really helps my channel grow, and I appreciate all of you all who are coming back again. It's good to have you. So today we're actually going to talk about the new moon in Pisces that occurs on March 13th, 2021 at 5:21 Eastern Time at 23 degrees and 3 minutes of Pisces. So you can see here on my astrological wheel that here we are in Pisces, and the sun and the moon are sitting conjunct right next to each other at 23 degrees and 3 minutes. And we also have two other planets in Pisces that we're going to talk about in a few minutes, and those are Neptune and also Venus. So this is a really big Piscean energy time, and Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So if you saw my little intro with the I was at the beach this weekend doing a little staycation with my mom and my daughter, and I thought that it was like a really potent time for just like connecting with the earth, especially like with the moon, with the ocean, with water, because Pisces is a water sign. So any of you Pisceans, Cancerians, and Scorpios, it's really a good time for you all to connect with any of your emotions, and like this might be an easier time for you to deal with your emotions. While any of us on earth, doesn't matter what your sign is, this is going to be a really good time for like intuitive thoughts, especially with the Neptune and Venus sitting here. They're all like in this really close proximity or conjunction. So that is going to be a lot of themes around possibly like themes of endings, because remember, Pisces, since it is the last sign of the zodiac or the astrology, we are going to start new with Aries soon in 2 weeks when we get ready to go into the spring equinox. So this is going to be a time that is a good time to look back on your last year and figure out where is it that you've grown. Pisces has a large connection with spirituality and connecting to your own feelings. So don't be surprised if like you get emotional over things that maybe you don't normally get emotional over, or you're able to connect even with spirits. What I have found during this time, especially when I was like out at the ocean, I find that's an easier time to connect with like loved ones who have passed on. So like my sister's birthday actually just passed on March 3rd, and she passed away in 1999. My father passed away actually on March 4th in 2005. So it just felt like I could really connect with them better at the ocean, and just hearing the water and the crashing waves. And I think that that's really indicative of this time with Pisces, because we really are in this very dreamy energy, especially with Neptune in Pisces. So don't be surprised if your dreams are a lot more vivid. If you maybe are able to connect with people one-on-one easier. Also, what I have found before I put the astrology wheel away is that we still have these planets over here in Aquarius. So we still have Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury in Aquarius. So don't be surprised if there are still these themes around trying to connect with people on a more mental plane, but also from a more higher vantage point, if you will. So the thing about Aquarius is that, remember when we just went through that stellium of Aquarius, if you look back on Scorpio soul time, you'll see when we had that new moon in Aquarius, that there were like 5 planets sitting in Aquarius. So we're going to be playing that out much of this year, because Saturn and Jupiter will stay in Aquarius through all of 2021. But especially with that Mercury, we're now having all the planets going direct through March. That's really important, because any kind of ambitions or goals that you were trying to achieve, especially when we got out of that Mercury retrograde at the end of February, this is a really good energy to think through the plans, set goals, especially if you're an entrepreneur, or if you have like a project that you're trying to get done. You're trying to meet with like-minded people. You're trying to get things done. And especially with Mars down here in Gemini, this is a really positive energy for working with groups, trying to get projects done, commitments, people you work with. This could be something in your community. Remember, Gemini also rules like communities and local things getting done. So keep that in mind as we go through this new moon in Pisces period, because there is going to be kind of like this level of like being able to take care of yourself. Remember, we just came off of that full moon in Virgo, so you could have seen some increases in your health, or themes around your health, around your money, around your resources. And now the universe is really asking all of us to kind of like take a step back and kind of look at our lives where this Piscean energy is really coming through. I think for some of us, it's going to be a more chill period where we're not going to have to be so stressed out about how things are going, where things are moving. And I think that the moon card is like, it is the major arcana card that symbolizes Pisces, and the moon card is the number 18 card in the major arcana. And it's always kind of like this duality, and there you can see the moon, and you can see like a dog and a wolf, almost symbolizing like the 2 different sides of like your psyche. And remember, Pisces is it's like you're almost like in a dream-like state. And so the moon card has always been this sign of like, when you get the moon card in a reading, it usually means like maybe you can't see everything. Maybe you're dreaming some parts of a theme. Maybe you haven't gotten all the information yet. Remember, in the moonlight, sometimes you can see things, but sometimes you can't. So keep that in mind also throughout this Pisces new moon on the 13th, and then 2 weeks after, because if some things seem too good to be true, meaning like a deal comes up that you just can't pass up, or, you know, someone comes to you with this really like off the chart idea, and you're kind of like, I'm not really sure about this. Remember that Neptune Piscean energy also can be like, things look too good to be true, or wearing rose-colored glasses, or just kind of like hold on to it, sit with it, see what your intuition tells you too, because I think at this time is a really good time for you to tap into your intuitive mind, and not get so wrapped up into just things that you see. Like, just because the physical world may look one way does not necessarily mean like it's definitely like spot on. So just keep that in mind. Pisces is a great energy also for creativity. So if you have a creative passion, if you're an artist, if you're someone who needs like a lot of good ideas for a creative project, you're pitching ideas maybe to a client, you might find like energies flow a lot easier now. I would invite you to meditate, you know, do self-care, connect with nature. I think that nature is the easiest, fastest way to really connect, not only with, you know, the higher spirits, but also to get your mind clear. I find like just taking a walk, you know, just, you know, tuning into the trees, water, nature, anything that you can do to just like get fresh air, I think will really help during this Piscean time. So today we're going to pull a past, present, and future spread. And I think what I want us to do today is really think through where you were a year ago at this time. I think it's really interesting. Oop, that's interesting. I think it's really interesting at this time because we are literally marking like the 1 year, and I hate to call it anniversary, but literally a year ago in 2020, this second week of March was when most of us were learning about the lockdown, or learning about the pandemic that led to the lockdown, and everyone, you know, having to leave their jobs, stay at home. So I think that like, if you think through it from an astrological standpoint, it really does make sense that a year later, we are at the last sign in the zodiac, symbolizing this time of like, okay, we've gone through 12 months of having to learn how to live differently, think differently, feel differently, interact with people differently. So I think that this Piscean time is really a time for closures, so that it's like, it's almost like when we get to that December time between Christmas and New Year's, where everyone's kind of like trying to finalize things before that new calendar year starts. That's what this time is right here. Like this time leading up to the spring equinox on, I want to say it's on March, is it March 20th? I was looking over at my calendar. Yep, so March 20th, 2021 is when the spring equinox will occur. So that definitely is going to be this time of like new beginnings. It's when we move into Aries. This is like the fresh start. So I want you to think through as we shuffle the cards here, and what is it in your daily life, in your spiritual life, in your health? What is it that you need to think through from a ending standpoint, from a clarity standpoint? What is it that you're ready to leave behind? You've learned information over this last year. You're able to move on from it. You've grown from it. What themes in your own personal life can this new moon in Pisces bring about? Because I really think the thing about tarot also is it helps us be able to hone in on certain areas of our life that maybe we didn't, maybe we weren't focused on, or maybe we've been ignoring purposefully, or sometimes we're ignoring unconsciously. And I feel like the tarot kind of helps us tap into those areas that maybe our ego wanted to let go of, but the universe is telling you, you need to, you know, make peace with it and move on. So let's see what we have here for a past, present, and future. And then we will clarify them with our other Rider-Waite deck. And before I turn them over, I'm going to show you what deck I'm using. So I'm actually using the Modern Witch Tarot deck. And if you've watched me for a long time, you know that I got this right around my birthday. I'm a Scorpio sun and moon, so around November 17th last year is when I got this deck. And I really like it because it's a good mixture of the Rider-Waite deck, but with a woman flair, so I really like that. It's like all girl power. So for the past, I have the Six of Swords in reverse. In the present, I have the Two of Swords upright. In the future, I have the Eight of Cups upright. Interesting, because I already see two themes of moving away from something and moving towards something. So that's pretty cool, especially from the standpoint of us coming to these endings with Pisces. And then I always like to flip over the bottom of the deck, and what do we see? We have the Fool in reverse. So I think that's really, if that's not symbolizing us getting ready to move into a new era, I don't know what is. So let's put that here. All right, so let's see what themes I already see coming out. If you look back on the last Scorpio soul time when we had that full moon in Virgo, if you remember, we had gotten all swords. And so I think it's interesting that two of these are still swords, the Six and this Two of Swords. So to me, that is already symbolizing that we're still moving through themes that we were going through that Virgo season. But I also think it has to do with the Aquarian energy. Like I said, that will be with us all year. So I want you to keep that in mind, that this is going to be a very mental year, 2021. And I think swords are going to be continually a theme throughout 2021. So that's something I just picked up on. So let me show you the Six of Swords in an upright position. So the Six of Swords is air energy. This could be anything that you're trying to move away from. The swords are symbolizing there might be mental thoughts, feelings, things that have just been weighing on your mind, but the good thing is you're moving away from them. You're moving to calmer waters here. You see the backs of these ladies, which means like you're moving away from something. You're not worried about the past anymore. You are moving on to better energy. And so I think that's also interesting, though, that it's reversed in the past. So to me, that is also symbolizing like maybe there was something you were having troubles moving away from, maybe the mental weight of the theme of whatever it is you've been thinking about or worrying about. You've been having problems moving away. But since this card is in the reverse in the past, I'm thinking like you're not having to worry about it so much. So that's like a good omen to me to see that it's in reverse. So maybe you're having troubles with it, but it's in the past. So maybe you've moved on from it, if that makes sense. It's almost like a double negative. But in the present, we have the Two of Swords upright. So to me, that is already symbolizing also, and especially I like how this moon is in the card. So to me, that's like at this new moon in Pisces, since this is in the present, there may be a decision you have to make. Remember, two is usually always a sign of duality. Remember that moon card had the duality of the moon, the moon card had that duality of the wolf and the dog, like representing our two sides of ourselves, two sides of our psyche. I think that this being the swords with that mental energy, there is some kind of decision maybe at this new moon in Pisces period that you're going to have to make. There could be some kind of decisions you have to make. And this also could stem something from all this Aquarius energy. You might have to be still dealing with trying to make an important decision in your life. Maybe there's people who have come to you with different ideas and you're having to kind of mull over what those ideas are. I would say be patient with yourself during this time, because I feel like with all that Piscean energy, it might become more emotional than mental. So meaning like you might not be able to see clearly as you would like to. Also with that Neptune energy, remember I told you Neptune's in Pisces, so everything might not be so clear. And I think it's really important to look at this. You know, she has a blindfold on, right? So she doesn't really know which way to think or to choose, and maybe she doesn't have all the information to choose. So I think, like, keep that in mind as you go through this Piscean time. Like, just because all this information is coming at you and you have like all these options, maybe it's not necessarily time to make a decision. Maybe you still need to use this time to like mull through all of the different options. And with the Eight of Cups in the future, you see this woman with her backpack, and she has Eight of Cups, and she's moving away from something emotionally. And so I think that it's really interesting because once again, we have the moon up here. And so I think that there definitely is this sense of like you're moving away from, you know, here you are already moving away from something mental, and here you're actually moving away from something emotional, because cups can also be a water sign. So like I said, with this Pisces energy, this could also indicate a Scorpio, Cancer, or Pisces in your life moving away from something. You might be moving houses. This could be something physical. You could be moving homes, moving jobs, moving away from something that no longer is serving you emotionally. You could be moving away from a relationship or moving out of a relationship. You know, the mountains also could indicate you're trying to go on an adventure, if you will, or embark on something new in your life emotionally. I think with this Piscean energy, you need to be really kind of tapping into your intuition, tapping into your own psyche in terms of what is it emotionally that maybe is no longer fulfilling for yourself. If this is a person, a relationship, a job, a home, a neighborhood, a community, all of these themes of like not knowing what to decide or not knowing which way to go, but you feel like you need to move away. And with the Fool card, I think it's interesting because with it in the upright position, the Fool is the 0 card in the major arcana, and it's kind of always like, oh, I'm carefree, I don't have anything to worry about. But the dog right here is like, okay, you need to pay attention because you're going to like come off of this little cliff here. And I love this modern representation where she has like her cell phone and she's just like, I am jamming to my beats. I don't care what's going on. And this dog is like, okay, don't be naive. You're not like paying attention. But I think this is a great card as we move into the spring, because this in the reverse position is like, maybe we're not quite ready to move to that next step. Maybe we're not quite ready to embark on a new adventure. I feel like this kind of plays in with this 8 of Cups, where it's like you're moving away from something, but with this overall theme of the reverse Fool, it's like maybe you're not ready, but you better get ready. Almost like this is kind of like the last hurrah. You now have time to keep like thinking through maybe some decisions. And for any of you that are thinking of like changing jobs or moving out of something that's no longer serving you, that's kind of like the theme. I feel like someone or many of us are like moving away from something, but we have to make a decision as to like what the next step is, or we're getting ready for something. That's what I keep hearing in my head. We're getting ready for something. So, and with it being at the end of the zodiac, that Pisces New Moon, we really could see this theme kind of throughout the rest of March and into April as we come into that Aries season. I think there's going to be a lot of this moving away from something emotionally, having to think through something mentally. Yeah, and that Fool is really like, I mean, that is the first card of the major arcana. So, I mean, that's right in line with us coming into this spring equinox and Aries season in latter part of March. So, okay, the cards are really in line with where we're at, which I always love to see how they fall right into place with where we are at with the energies. So let's pull some clarifiers. I mean, today I think the message is pretty clear, but I'm still going to pull some clarifiers just to make sure we're kind of in line here. And think through how these themes are kind of playing out in that when we started this video on where you're at in just your own life and how this is kind of playing out for you. Oop, it's always hard to get everything straight. Let me pull the camera back a little. All right. What do we need to clarify? We need to clarify the Six of Swords in reverse, Two of Swords in the present, and the Eight of Cups in the future. Today the cards feel like very loose. Not loose like they flying out, but like the message is really clear. Like in the past, I've had like cards just like fly out when it's like the message is like a little rocky, but today it seems like it's very solid, very firm. Like there's no, it's not like wavering, which I think is interesting. Okay, so the Six of Swords, we hit the King of Pentacles in the past as a clarifier. In the present, for the Two of Swords, ooh, I get the Three of Swords. Isn't that interesting how it's like the next in succession after Two of Swords? But it is in reverse, so that could be healing. And then in the future, the Eight of Cups, I get the Two of Wands in reverse. Okay. So in the past, with this Six of Swords and King of Pentacles, I think this is really honing in on that Virgo full moon that we just had a few weeks ago. I think if any of you all came into any money, I know like we just got our income taxes back. My father, that's interesting, Father King. My husband actually got a promotion at his job. So it's kind of like this Virgo energy to me with this King of Pentacles is really showing more of that resources could have come to you. Maybe you've moved away from something mentally in the past that you did get rewarded for, or maybe you've heard that you're going to be coming into some money, you're going to be getting a promotion. Maybe you've heard of some ways that you can file your taxes in April to be able to get money. I know those of us here in the States are going to come into the stimulus checks are supposed to be coming out within the next, few weeks because of the COVID relief stimulus package. So this could definitely just be more around your resources. Maybe you were worried about something in the past, but maybe you've gotten some inklings at that last, like I said, full moon in Virgo that really dealt with resources, time, energy, money. There just could have been something that opened up for you in the past. Or if you didn't actually witness them, you might learn of something that maybe was brewing in the background that you didn't know about until now, or maybe it will come out in the future. But this is a positive sign that maybe there was kind of a silver lining to this Six of Swords. And maybe that Six of Swords was you moving away from something to money, or moving away because you needed, a new start somewhere and you were able to do this in the past. In the present, we have the Two of Swords and we get the Three of Swords as the clarifier. Usually the Three of Swords is kind of like one of those cards in the deck that no one really likes to see, because the Three of Swords upright usually means some kind of heartbreak, disappointment, someone has wronged you. you know, it's just kind of like not the happiest card, right? With it in reverse though, it usually signifies healing from some kind of heartbreak, healing from something that was a mental strain on you. With this being in succession with the Two of Swords and then the Three of Swords, I'm also getting like during this new moon in Pisces, I think that we're all going to have to take some time for ourselves. That's what I'm feeling with this healing. I feel like maybe we've all been taxing our brains too much with the decision making of the Two of Swords, and it's time to heal. It's time to maybe not put so much pressure on ourselves. The nice thing about Pisces is it's a more healing energy. Even though it's a water sign and this is indicative of more of the air signs, I feel like the new moon in Pisces is going to be like this healing and being able to almost like be able to take a step back and not stress ourselves so much. So I think this Two of Swords and with this reverse Three of Swords is really positive, because I feel like there's a healing energy, and it's like the universe is telling you, use this time to like do self-care, meditate, and connect with your higher self. Maybe that's also what the Two of Swords is saying. Like, instead of being so stressed out about having to have an answer, take some time back and really like focus on you and focus on like the energies that are here to help heal you. And in the future, I feel like with the Two of Wands usually in the upright position, it's like you holding the world, looking out over your kingdom, like, okay, what should my next move be? Wands are representative of the fire energy, so that can be Sagittarius, Leo, or Aries. I think that with us coming into, like I said, the Aries new moon at the spring equinox in the end of March, like March 20th, I think that there is this, since it was in reverse, there is almost like this feeling of like moving away from something. You're hoping for new things in the future, but with it in reverse, it's almost like don't be too hasty. Like, don't jump out of something to assume like the grass is greener on the other side. And I'm getting this sense of like, you can plan your future. I think the Two of Wands are always like that, okay, what are my decisions that, you know, what are my choices I can make for the future? Remember the Two of Swords and now the Two of Wands, you're having this like duality of options that you can do. But I do think with this being the clarifier of the Eight of Cups, it's almost like this isn't necessarily going to happen in the Aries season, but maybe you're looking forward to it. Like, you're moving away from something that is no longer emotionally fulfilling, but you're looking forward to being able to make a decision, or maybe there's some new options that are going to come to you. But since it's in reverse, I'm almost like maybe it doesn't happen right away, or it doesn't happen in the exact way that you think it's going to happen. So I do think that there is this really nice energy of healing from something that you're trying to move away from, and there's new beginnings coming. But with the Fool and the Two of Wands, both as symbols of kind of like starting fresh, but since they're in reverse, I feel like there's like a hesitation from you, or the universe is telling you to like think through everything. Don't be so hasty. Don't just run into, you know, pay attention to this dog right here who is basically like, okay, yeah, just because you just found out that, you know, you just got a raise does not mean like it's now time to like go buy a new house, a new car, and, you know, buy the most expensive things at the at the mall, and then 2 months later you're trying to figure out why you can't pay your credit card bills. So I'm saying, like, there is this sense of like, be careful of what you're deciding on. Look to the future with hope, like how this Two of Wands is, but still remember, like, you're still healing, you're still moving away from things, and you might not have all the answers. That's what I really keep hearing. I think that Neptunian energy in Pisces, along with the sun and the moon in Pisces, there's a dreaminess that could, I think, not be the most positive for everyone if you're not using it to your advantage. Like, use the dreaminess for like creative ventures and being able to tap into your intuition, but don't let it steer you to a point where you're kind of like, okay, well, I'm just packing up everything, I'm moving away from everything, I know everything's going to be great, and then next thing you know, you're falling off, you know, the side of a cliff because you moved too hastily and you didn't think through everything. So I hope that was really helpful for you. I hope that this new moon in Pisces is a really positive energy. I think we can all use it to our advantage if we just kind of stay steady and not rush into anything too quickly. This Eight of Cups, I think, is kind of telling you, you can move on, but, you know, be careful in terms of like how you move forward. I think it's going to be interesting to see how we come into that spring equinox later on in March and see what the energies say then. Okay, you all, well, thank you so much for joining me here on Scorpio Soul Time. I appreciate it. And like I said, if you could hit the subscription bell, hit the like button, feel free to comment, ask me questions, and I'll see you all later on Scorpio Soul Time. Bye.